Just making sure, wait, I used to be a high school history teacher, so that's how I got the kids to come down. So it works with adults too. But no, good to meet all, good to see all of you here. Thanks for being here. We have a lot of directors from the city here to help out with any questions. And you know, if anyone here, if you leave here today and someone says, why do you do a town hall at the country club? Well, there's no parks in Plantation other than the beautiful country club. And actually, it's cheaper to do a town hall here at the country club than to do one at a park, a public park, because of all the overtime and the people that we have to get to set up the tent and all that. So actually, we're saving about $300 by doing it here at the country club, in case anyone has a problem with that later on. Okay. Just want to clarify that. No, but pleasure, and most of you, I'm assuming most of you live in Plantation. This was welcome to all. Any resident of District 6 or from the city as a whole could be here. And we tried to make that clear in our communications. So, but raise your hand if you live in Plantation, just out of curiosity. Okay, I imagine. Okay, the majority, as expected. So this is probably the most convenient location we can come up with. So, anywho, normally in these town halls, we do them at the parks and taught, not indoors, and I don't have access to technology. So today I was like, well, let me actually do a quick little PowerPoint. I don't want to waste too much time because you might have questions. This is kind of a update from my side of what kind of I've been doing in the first year, kind of things I've been focused on. You know, anyone I think in their first year, in the first 6 months, if they're truly honest and reflective, is taking notes, trying to gather information, and making sure you kind of know what the real needs are. Because you can run a campaign and you can get an idea, but once you're in there, you're seeing a lot of things that you didn't know were the problems, or maybe the problems are more complicated than you thought. And so, you know, now I've got my first full year in, and I feel like I've got a decent grapple on the things, but I know today there's going to be a lot of new things y'all are going to bring to me. And, you know, we have my assistant Esmeralda, who's amazing, in the back. Yes, if you email us through District 6 at the City of Laredo, it's .ci.tx. You know, it's the domain of the city page, but it's District 6 at, and then we have cards as well. She helps with corresponding with constituents, because on my day job I do practice medicine as my day job. Although I do not work as many hours as most doctors in Laredo, I limit it as much as possible so that I can see the patients I need to see, and then to maximize my time on council. So, anywho, enough about that. Just a little housekeeping, and and I didn't want to have to say this, but just in case it gets rowdy, I don't think it will. Police may ask you to, as a warning, to keep it respectful, and then as a second time, they might need to escort. But I don't think we're going to get there. But just wanted to say it as a disclaimer from the start. District 6, Plantation Town Hall. I saw a lot of comments on Facebook. Why would we do a town hall for Plantation? Everything's perfect in Plantation. They have it all made in the shade. When I say no, you might be saying no. There's every constituent has issues that are valid. I've done other town halls in other parts, and we're going to do town halls all over the district. So, and I know we pay you guys that live in Plantation pay a lot of taxes, and you have just as right to have an opinion as people that might pay. We should all have the same voice, is my point, right? So we're going to be doing many more town halls, but this is one of them. So anyway, moving on. So Plantation specific things, I know, and feel free to interrupt me during this, because I have a feeling some of these topics might have even come up. So, by the way, these pictures were taken this morning, not by myself, and not the best quality, but just so y'all know, we did add this. This issue came up a lot last year, so we added the double left turn lane there, coming Country Club going on to Del Mar. And not only for the traffic flow, but it was really dangerous. When you were turning left, you didn't know if the other person was going to be going straight or turning left, and there were so many near accidents, and there actually were actual accidents based on the crash data. So this required a whole new system, which was about $56,000 to upgrade, So I asked Councilmember Ruben Gutierrez, District 5, because he's on the other side. So we split the district priority funds, 28,000, and we're able to get that done. So yeah, that second lane there, you can go left, straight, or right, and you have a designated dual left turn lane now. But they're still studying the area to see if there's any adjustments they need to make for the synchronization on Del Mar. We know it's not perfect. Going west on Del Mar, they're going to be adding a new red light as well on Rocio Drive, if you didn't know. So that will also need to be synchronized with all that. So still working out the kinks, but I think when I drive by at 5:30 now, when I'm driving on Del Mar, I do feel like the backup is better, but there's still room for improvement. But just so you know, that is where some of our money went. And then next slide, unless anyone wants to stop or comment. And so, other thing, Plantation East traffic safety. So we know since Plantation East opened up to Shiloh, we know there's been speeding, we know there's been crashes, and so this was you recently added this, right? This crosswalk. So this is at Country Club and Plantation East. We've added an all-way stop. And this is the crash data here. So we saw significant crash data. There's also significant crashes here on Plantation East and Burke, and we're noticing a lot of people going from Shiloh down Plantation East to Burke to Reserve to get to Del Mar, and it's basically becoming a thoroughfare essentially. So we might be adding traffic, still studying it, and they're here. They can comment on whether or not we need to add a stop sign at Burke and Plantation East, and then potentially also on Burke and Reserve, because we know a lot of people, I'll tell you, I miss the turn on Reserve sometime, and I just drive right past it, and you have to U-turn, and it's kind of, a problem. So, and that's just where the flow is going, so we're trying to keep that flow. That's, again, I don't make traffic expert decisions, that's their job. I bring them the concerns you all have, they give recommendations, and then that's it. I don't get in the business of trying to tell experts how to do their job, right? So that's that. I think we've already gotten a pretty good response from this so far. Question?
Just a question, basically on Plantation East.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of traffic now coming that direction because of Shiloh, they're detouring into
Right.
Del Mar. So there's a lot more traffic, and there's a lot of bike riders that are going to have to go back to the bike riding. I think that there's a bike riding lane on that just to designate and make it safe for bike riders.
Mm-hmm. You mean on Plantation East?
On Plantation East. Well,
Yeah.
on Plantation East all the way to Shiloh, and then all the way to Burke, and then also the Country Club Drive.
Actually, representative from traffic, did you mention earlier that, I don't know if you mind coming up or speaking there, but I think I was just told that they were adding, not necessarily, they're not calling them bike lanes, but they're actually referred to.
My name's Jimmy Delgado, so I'm the superintendent for traffic. I'm in charge of the striping, signals and all that. I haven't seen the layout yet on that. I imagine there has been talk about it. Jeffrey is in charge of the design and stuff, and him and JC are the ones in charge of the striping designs and if there's bike lanes or road guides and stuff. They take care of all that.
I saw they added bike lanes, or they're not calling them that, but today.
Yeah,
All of Plantation.
yeah, this morning I got a text from a constituent saying, thank you for the bike lanes on Plantation East. But traffic calls them shoulder lanes, right? Or what? But to you, they might look and feel like bike lanes. If that's the case, great. But technically, it's a road diet to kind of narrow the lanes, add some. Ironically, the more narrow your lane is, the better you drive. If you have a wide open lane, it's like, we go at it hardcore. If it's a tight lane, you actually pay more attention, you're more focused, so it's kind of counterintuitive, right? But yeah, so they are adding that. Again, even if we don't call it a bike lane, it's available to you as a cyclist. Yeah. And Burke as well. Burke is pending striping. So Burke was just resurfaced, right? We resurfaced all of Burke from Bermuda to Plantation East, and now it needs to be restriped. And the idea is, if you live right along Burke, or on wide section of Burke. The striping will allow some parking there, for people visiting your home. And then the shoulder lane on the other side, closer to the golf course for road diet or for the cycling community. So win-win, I hope.
I've got a question while we're on talking about the same intersection, and I want to thank you for taking immediate action on addressing some of the needs in that intersection. I know there've been quite a few accidents. I know you're still proposing to add some of those blinking lights, but if you look at the south west corner of that intersection, it curves and you're coming up on a blind
Yes.
stop sign, so it needs to stand out more. And then I'm glad you're addressing the bike lanes, because it was almost like the movie Thelma and Louise. We had bike lanes at the older part of Plantation, and then it came to a dead end. So you have the more experienced bike riders that, can look over their shoulder real good and change lanes and do all these things. But then you have families, they're trying to teach their kids to get into cycling, and sometimes they're 2 or 3 bicycles wide. By law, you're supposed to give them at least 3 feet. So, and then some people, and you're either, at my age, you're late to a doctor's appointment, or some people go to work, so out of courtesy, you just honk it lightly to let them know you're gonna pass, and there are 2 or 3 lanes wide, as far as bicycles, and they look over their shoulder, and they got, it's almost like, I'm trying to avoid an altercation or somebody having a new hood ornament, but I'm glad you're addressing that.
Yeah, no, thank you. Part of the country club that gets closer to Plantation East, right when you pass the actual country club, on Country Club Drive, the bike lane does go away, and that's because the road just gets too narrow where it can't withstand it. So I've asked traffic about that, and it's,
Well, if you can add the striping and have a lane there, I think there should be some signage there letting the motoring public know that they're supposed to give them at least 3 feet.
right, okay. Yes, sir, that's great. No,
They're always in the middle of the street anyway. They don't listen, they don't stop at
Well, how do you
stop
propose
signs.
we address it?
I don't know.
I mean, it isn't all that way, it's being addressed.
Sometimes you almost hit them. because
I know,
they're in the street.
that's my concern. I'm trying
I
to,
know, me
I hate to
too.
run over anybody. You already had a nasty accident further down the road last year. And I'm trying to avoid a lawsuit or hurting anybody, because I'm glad you're addressing it, and I want to thank you for that.
thank you. Yes.
Speaking of signage, it would be great if we could have, and I don't know if it's a city thing or if it's a Plantation thing, it would be wonderful if we could have some signs telling folks that bicycles need to be on the road and not on the sidewalk. Somebody's gonna get horribly hurt with a cyclist riding right into folks that are walking on the sidewalks. If you're on wheels, you're supposed to be on the street. So now that we have these additional shoulders or lanes, whatever you want to call them, I think a little bit of signage letting cyclists know, not the professional guys, but it's,
It's not for the sidewalk.
yeah, it's not for the sidewalk.
Especially the narrow sidewalks. We have some really large sidewalks, like on Springfield, the new Springfield. They can accommodate, but our narrow ones.
No, not here.
Yeah, I understand.
Dr. King, while we're addressing that same area, from the entrance to Presswick, all the way to Plantation East, we pushed about 2 years ago to add some additional lighting, because the lighting was real poor on the south side of that street. And they added one light, it's poor, it's still kind of dim. I wish we could add another one,
Okay.
because at night, I know we're talking about cyclists, but sometimes you can have joggers jogging on the street and not on the sidewalk. Or people with babies in their little cars, or people walking dogs, and then some of these people jogging, sometimes they have dark jogging suits in. So,
Ezra, I don't know if in your notes on your phone, if you mind just starting some notes and Presswick lighting, you just write that, I'll remember what.
Between Presswick and Plantation East,
Yes.
there's one there that we barely added last year with some protest.
And we do have Ms. Hinojosa, I don't want to make this an HOA thing, but we do have Jackie Hinojosa, the new manager of, here she is.
Done a great job.
Of the Plantation HOA. She is here. We are in contact. If you haven't met her yet, I'm sure there'll be a time today or later that you could meet her. And so we're going to stay in close contact just to see how we can work together. And also we have Monica from anyone that lives in Las Villas, the 15 condos. Okay. Who apparently pay both Plantation and Las Villas HOA fees, so, yes, okay. Very good. Okay, I think we can go on to the next slide, and we can come back to this later if we need to. This just, if you haven't seen it, yes, okay, we paid Burke. You know, it sounds so simple, but asphalt is so expensive these days, so it was $148,000 to pave all of Burke for the whole thing. So just, you know, we have limited funds, but if the need was there, and you know, we went with it, and it'll be striped soon. And then this is just a small thing. We had a constituent, one of your fellow Plantation residents, who brought this up, that this was not, this corner of Bermuda and Crenshaw was not ADA compliant. And then Mr. Fila and the Public Works team, as soon as I brought it to their attention, they got it done really quick, and now it looks great. So it's an ADA compliant and looks great. And you know, this is just, these are the LED lights that they were mentioning. So far, we've done it for one of the sections. We're actually, these LED stop signs are actually in really high demand, and we actually are pimping. They're kind of on back order, and so we are looking to do them as well. Switch it out for the one at Country Club and Plantation East that was already mentioned. It's just we're just waiting on them to come in, and you know they have a cost. But they really do seem to work, and I caught these pictures right when the light was on. I'm so proud. Okay, yes. Yes.
See, that's the entrance to Tiger Court right there, okay, where the bridge is.
Oh,
I wanna know why
over
the
here.
city- Yes,
Okay.
why the city never cuts that for us. The weeds are so high right now, and the reservoir that's right there that you can barely see.
Okay.
They're like 12 feet high. I mean, why isn't the city cutting that?
Yeah.
Why is it out of our funds at the HOA? Why?
Yeah. As for Tiger Court maintenance, yeah. So a lot of these things. So the inventory of all the different. So when we get into these things, we have to check, and we go back decades, and you find out that the deed or the agreement says this, and then we just found out recently, after 25 years, that the creek and Las Villas, part of it is controlled. It's actually owned by the city. For the last 25 years, no one knew that, and so now we're going to have to be maintaining it, right? So we'll have to look at it and just confirm.
It's so bad
yeah.
right now. The
Okay.
reservoir, the water's not gonna flow through that, because
Yeah.
the weeds are like 10 feet high. It's not like that over here.
So that's Tiger Court entering
Oh,
the.
it's right there.
Yeah.
You can barely see it, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
right there.
Okay.
It's coming from Winfield. She's saying the one that's right across from
Mhm.
Winfield
And it
on
was-
Plantation East.
I think okay on the west side of Plantation East.
It's right there, right?
Yeah.
You can barely see it with the top end of that whole reservoir.
Okay.
You know, I mean.
Okay.
No one's maintaining it. The HOA, we don't wanna pay for that, why should we? That's part of the city.
Yeah, if it's part of the city, we should be
So why
maintaining.
don't they
Yeah.
cut it? You know, we
Yeah.
call all the time,
Okay.
so that's a big thing.
Okay. Yeah. And we'll address that. If it's the cities, then we'll be making sure it's maintained. Yeah. For sure. Thank you.
Two things. So that's at the intersection of Plantation East Drive and Applebine or Applebee, whatever it's called. So it's the back entrance to Winfield for,
Windridge, I think it's Windridge and.
Do you mind?
Would you mind?
Yeah, I'd like to.
so that's where that's at. It's got the stop sign there. The other thing I was gonna ask is, so they paved Bermuda, right? Or
Just for now.
so when they paved it, they removed the speed bump.
They've been reinstalled.
They're already done?
They're there.
Yeah, so basically, and this is a process basically whenever we pave or resurface a street that has speed bumps, Public Works team needs to remove them to kind of mill the area, get everything even, and then it's resurfaced, and then they have to go back and reinstall the speed bumps. But yeah, that's been done now. Yes, but, yes.
Dr. King, while we're on the subject of resurfacing and paving streets, somebody came up with a big idea 2 years ago to dish out money out of the association to pave a certain portion of the streets in Plantation. And all that did was free up money for the other associations that don't have to do that.
Right.
But I'm glad you can appreciate how much we pay in taxes, I'm hoping that maybe you can appropriate some money to have an aggressive resurfacing or pothole program.
Yeah, I'll put my attention to resurfacing against anybody else on council, and it's not even close. So I put an additional $300,000 towards resurfacing. So, yeah, just saying the facts. And I'm not competing with my council members.
I'm well aware how it
but yeah,
works. I was on the
yeah,
city council
I know.
for years, so we used
Yes.
to have a resurfacing program every year, and
Uh-huh.
they used to designate certain streets and
Yeah.
tackle them, and that totally
For sure.
didn't come
And
off the map.
we need, this upcoming budget cycle, we need to budget, so we had 5 million allocated for public works for the whole city this past year, for street paving, and Mr. Field's in the back, and they've been doing their best. But there were about 6 years in the 2010s where there was no money going towards public works for the street paving program, and we're really behind because of those 6 years. And we're having to make up for it, and so this coming budget, I'm going to push to get that number as high as we can. I'd like it to be 10 million, but I know we have a lot of other needs. So that's what budget time's for. It's going to be open forum. Y'all come and speak during those budget workshops in August to push council to fund public works as high as we possibly can. Because at the end of the day, each council member gets district priority funds, right? Which those are controversial in and of themselves. But nonetheless, we have them, and they can only be used for brick and mortar, by the way. They can't be used for like a block party or something. They have to be used for brick and mortar things like street paving, park improvements, sidewalks, and things like that. Yeah, so I've just thrown every dollar that I can towards extra paving. And we've sprinkled it around in of the district, right? We had Burke here, but we also did Chimayo and San Ysidro. We did International by Academy. We did parts of Winfield that were in horrible shape. We did we did International from Shiloh to Allen, McPherson. We did from Shiloh to Tiara, and then from Shiloh to International. But yeah, we're making up for like I said, those 6 years. But we also need to get more automated with this, and just so it's not piecemeal. We're kind of responding to the worst of the worst right now, but eventually we need to have it automated where it's on autopilot, where we have technology in place that just kind of has it going, and then we're not having to. Like I drive around in the neighborhood and I'm just like taking pictures, sitting in Northfield, but there is a better way, right? There's got to be a better way.
Well, and I know, I'm out of track, I don't know where we're at on the community development block grants, which are, those are part of the city,
Yeah.
the sidewalks and paving and some
Yeah.
of those things.
District
So,
6, we don't get those
But
lovely
unlike-
CDBG
but unlike
funds.
that, I
Yeah.
know we don't, that's why
Yeah.
it frees up money for the rest of the city.
Yeah.
Unlike other cities, we have rich revenues that come into the general fund too, so we have an advantage over other cities, so there
Yeah.
should be some money that could be dug out somewhere. Plus the need for a recreation center.
Yep, definitely going to get to the recreation center.
Dr. King, maybe a little change of pace here. Thank you very much for hosting this. Just some observations and some things that I have. And I'm very thankful that you're putting money
Yes.
where it counts. But in Laredo, it seems that these days, everybody speeds. Everybody invades the crosswalk. Nobody stops at the traffic lights. They take the light after it changes.
Yeah.
I live on Vineyard, just off of the Sur, and it seems like on that block where I live, everybody has 5, 6 cars. So they park on the street.
Yes.
And I have neighbors here, and it seems like everybody speeds along Vineyard, what
Uh-huh.
you call it. And so I was wondering what is the process that we could use to get speed bumps?
Yeah.
And of course, more patrolling to control the violators.
Yeah, so as far as, Esmer, if you could put Vineyard speed table or speed bump requests, so that literally is just, I go to traffic and you as a citizen can request them through 311. If me requesting them, it might happen quicker, even though it shouldn't necessarily be that way, but that might be how it is. So, and then there's an algorithm they go through, flow chart, and then it gets studied, and then they give me a yes or no on whether or not it's warranted, based off the length of the road, based off that they actually do measure the speeding going on, and then there's a recommendation, and then they'll come back and say, okay, yes, that'll be X amount of dollars out of district priority funds, and I would, if they recommend it, I would say yes. So, and then as far as this, well, you didn't mention speeding on Reserve. You're mainly focused on your road, right? Reserve, you haven't seen a major issue with that? Okay.
I have a question
Yeah.
also.
But consider the request in, and we will, get with you. Yeah, okay.
What is the thing, because we have a lot of people who park on the street.
Yeah.
Lots of cars on the street,
Right.
because everybody has like 6 cars or something ridiculous. And it is very dangerous, because
Yeah.
if you're trying to pull out, you cannot see if other cars are coming.
Mhm.
And I've complained about it before, but nobody seems, is there a law about it, or is,
Yeah.
because people over here have 6 cars, and people over here have 6 cars, and they park them all over the place.
Yeah, and we're dealing with that. I mean, if anyone from police has an opinion on that, but I know we're dealing with that with like the schools, for example. Alexander High School. I know this is not a Kalady Heights town hall, but there's been a lot of complaints there about the kids who park along that street, and they blocked off a whole 2 lanes, and they've left just 1 lane to go in and out. People are having to wait. So we made 1/2 of that street no parking, right? Because it's the kids who don't have a driver's license or insurance, and so they're not allowed to park on UIC, and so they end up parking on our streets, and they go deep into the neighborhood too. San Isidro United High School did the same thing. Your case, that's people that live there.
Live there, it's mainly on Vineyard,
So, police, are there any limitations on residential parking excessively, or is it,
And it's all the time, it's not parties, it's like.
just kind of at
every day.
baseline? Okay.
So good afternoon, Chief Rodriguez. It's always been an issue, not only in Plantation, it's an issue everywhere in the city. We have multi-generational housing now. There's multiple generations living in one home. So it makes it very difficult when we go there, and if it's a neighbor complaining, and we go and we try to remove the vehicle, and guess what happens? Then that neighbor complains about the other neighbor, and it starts complaint after complaint. So what we try to do is give us a call, we'll try to speak with them first. If the vehicle is not blocking the driveway, or the vehicle is not impeding traffic in any way, we can still move it, but we still have to put that into play where there's multi-generations housings going on throughout the city, and it's very difficult for us to just go and remove all the cars, right? So we have to take all that into consideration. But anyway, if there is a car that is impeding traffic, there's a car that is blocking a driveway, we will remove it. We will go out there and remove the other vehicle.
If they're parking on both sides of the street, though, it's
Make it a one-lane road,
It
so
makes it
somebody
very
going
difficult to drive.
west and somebody coming east, you're
Yeah,
heading
you have to,
into each other.
you can't,
So my question to you, have you called PD while this is happening? And have we responded, and what has been the response from the police officer that gets?
Call them on
I was complaining to homeowners here in Plantation, I would complain to them, and I take pictures and send it, but nothing would happen.
No, no te pelan, tampoco.
Well, do me a favor, if this happens, if this occurs again, just give the police a call.
It's every day.
Give the police a call, and we'll try to figure out how to take care of that area. As to the judge's request for more patrol, judge, consider it done. We will be there in that area, it's been documented. We will be deploying more officers in that area to make sure that we take care of that problem.
Thank you, Chief.
Y luego no solo tienes 6 carros, ¿verdad? Es peor tantito. Peor tantito. Tienes doble de paciente. Y los carros fuera de la conexión.
Hello?
It's done.
Something about the parking also, I want you guys to know, the hydrants cannot be blocked. And if they are blocked, it's 30 feet, 15 to either side. You can call us. What's that?
She's gonna check it.
Yeah, give us a call and we'll give the citation. And after a few citations, people learn. And then for you guys to know too, so don't park by a hydrant, because You will get a ticket. I mean,
I've done it, and they park going the wrong way, on the wrong side, I call the cops and they come and they give them their ticket, and believe me, it's taken care of that. Or they get too close to a stop sign, you have to go out, because the car's blocking, I call the cops and I report them, and they come, take care of it.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ruben Basan. I live here in Plantation. Howdy, neighbors. Now that we're taking requests for speed bumps, I live on Mayfair, and for some reason, I live on Mayfair right as it turns, on the 300 block going to the 400 block. And for some reason, a lot of people think that it's okay to speed there. I don't know if they watch Fast and Furious way too many times, but I have little kids, and I'm not the only one that has children there. They did a feasibility study, I believe, to see if speed bumps were warranted on that street, and this was before your tenure. But I don't know how long the study was done, and I think it was just a stretch of bad luck on my part, because they came back to me and they said three things. They said, one, we didn't see anybody really speeding, and of course they did this during the week at noon, right? The speeding is happening, especially at night, after 8 p.m. And they said that two, there wasn't enough money for it, and three, that apparently, I don't know how true this is, that the fire department doesn't like it, for the speed bumps to be there. So again, I don't know how true that is. I'm not blaming
I'll address.
but now that we're taking requests, and we can take another look at it.
Actually,
I'd really appreciate it.
no, and I remember that, and just recently, that request has been formally entered. So maybe this is, and so it already is in actually your request. So to reevaluate, maybe traffic could give the Cliff Notes summary of kind of how these speed bump request studies are done. There's a very complex chart, but maybe just kind of really quick, easy to understand way of like what the process is. And feel free to come up here, guys.
Hey, Councilmember King,
yeah.
Alma Saldaña. I just wanted to add for the vineyard list, if we can check into, there's at least 3 to 4 big concrete mailbox blocking the sidewalk completely.
Concrete mailboxes blocking the
They're
sidewalk.
almost blocking the entire
Okay.
sidewalk.
Okay,
You
that might be
cannot walk on the sidewalk.
Esmer? Okay, vineyard, concrete mailbox, blocking the sidewalk.
Sir,
Yes.
on the sidewalk, what it is because my son my son lives, it's really long, and on his sidewalk, I stand there, and there's one here, there's one there, there's one here, they're not straight. And then I found out through the HOA, it's depending who was, I guess, at the time of the development in city council, that some would say, we want it here. And then the next guy would come in and say, okay. So then that next 2 or 3 houses that got built, well, now it went closer to the curb, because the mailman, they don't want it to go up. But then there's 3 that are up and 3 down. So you're zigzagging. I mean, whether you're with a stroller or you're walking, you're zigzagging. And so, but it has to do with, when you built your house, what was the ordinance at the time? And that's how they came to that. So there's a couple of streets that, yeah, they're tough. I mean, if you had a wheelchair, somebody in a wheelchair, I mean, it's tough. You don't fit because they're deep.
Yeah.
And then I think that's when they went to the one to the key.
Off-site.
Because of that, to free up the sidewalks. But the ones that got grandfathered in with sidewalks, they're funny. What
Okay.
she's saying.
Okay. Might have to get creative with how we address that. Of course,
Yeah, I
there's
don't know
property
how to
owners
change
who are going to feel, but it's, Esmer, it's on the list? Yes. Okay, how to address that retroactively? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Traffic. Hello, Jeff Gonzalez from Traffic Safety. In regards to explaining the process in which we install speed humps, we get the request either through citizen or through the council member, either the agenda or email. Once we get that, we have to decide whether the street is qualified lengthwise before we do a speed study. If it's below a certain length, then it's automatically disqualified. If it's below 700, and this is all within ordinance. Once a speed study is done and it's deemed that there's a lot of cars either speeding or it's high volumes, then it goes into approvals, both from fire and police, as well as getting the approvals from the citizens on the street itself. And you need at least 60% approval all along the street length of where the request is taking. And we have to get that through the citizen's request, in which we give out a policy, and they have a petition signature page on it. Or it's requested through the council members. One of our inspectors actually goes over to the street and gets out flyers that are knocking on the door, or leaving it at their door or their mailbox if available. Once we get all that and put it into a package, we give it to the council member. It's been approved, we need your approval of funds. They approve it, then it goes into the installation process where we install signs, ask for Public Works to install the speed hump, and then final inspections.
How many signatures are needed for that?
It depends on how many houses are on the street length.
So if we're talking the Country Club Drive, which backs up to many of the homes, what would be the number?
If it's Country Club Drive, that's a different story, because Country Club Drive is a
Neighborhood collector.
It's a thoroughfare. We don't put asphalt speed humps because it's due to the high volumes. That goes straight into
Speed tables.
the speed tables.
And actually, I have a slide about speed tables later, specifically for Country Club from McPherson to Del Mar primarily. But yeah, in that case, no signatures are needed if traffic recommends it because it's a thoroughfare or a neighborhood collector, so it's not that. This is more when citizens are requesting it on the residential streets, they would need the 60% signature. Yeah. Thank you for the explanation. Okay.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
My name's Tommy Gutierrez. I moved to the area. Familiar with most of the concerns because I dealt with them as a president of an HOA from another subdivision here locally. The way we dealt with vehicles on the driveway, in the backyard, on the street, just walk by. The inspection sticker is expired. One day, police will go and cite them. That's guaranteed. On the driveway, in the backyard, in the side of the house, on the street. We can't have any unless they're a specific collector of a car. That's based on the city rules. So you can do that. Just walk by. It's expired. That's it. Call the police. They're really good at that. They can go the next day. Code enforcement does it really good. Dial 311. We upset a lot of neighbors when we did it, but it's, you know, it's a good thing we have an HOA. It's a bad thing we have an HOA. It goes both ways. My other question, MPDS, no silt and all that construction along that creek. That's been going on for a while and it meets the minimum requirements you have to put the silt in. So heads up on that. Another thing is on the question in regards, and this I'd like the answer to come from the emergency professionals. What is your opinions on those speed humps along these neighborhoods when a person, raise your hand if you're over 50, has an incident and needs medical attention fast? What's your speed hump?
Guillermo Hurd. Just so people aren't breaking their neck.
Good evening, everybody. Guillermo Hurd, Fire Chief. So on the fire side, I can speak for the fire side, the EMS side. We prefer speed tables, not necessarily speed humps. There's been significant studies that show the reduction in our response time is not significant enough to impact patient outcome. There's plenty of studies on that we've seen. On Alexander, when the speed tables were placed there about 2 years ago, we did take our fire trucks and our ambulance, and we went over the speed tables as they were replaced. There wasn't a significant amount of reduction in time. I will tell you we did the same analysis with the Winfield area too. So as a fire chief, I feel that we will be able to respond appropriately to any community member to give them the help that they need. If you need it, I'm here if you answer any other questions specifically.
And I know it sounds like semantics, but there is a humongous difference between speed bumps and speed tables. We did just install speed tables on Winfield, from Del Mar to Kirby, right before you get to Loop 20, in front of Colonel Santos Elementary School. And, we think those are gonna be similar to the success we saw at Alexander. Alexander Parkway, we've already seen the average speed go down from 39 miles per hour to 31 miles per hour, and it's a 30, speed limit's 30, so we dropped it down 8. Well, that was actually Councilmember Gutierrez Ruben, who put those in Alexander, and it just continues into, even, when I was showing my wife, like, so proud, look what we did. She, look, and then she's like, yeah, it makes perfect sense, because there was a couple people upset about the when. Yeah, anytime you do something, there's always going to be someone who's upset, right? So, but it's a continuation of it, of the Alexander ones. And I'm not trying to put speed tables all everywhere, right? But whenever it's recommended, we're going to at least consider it. And there is a recommendation by traffic for speed tables on Country Club from McPherson to Del Mar, and a total of 3 in that, because it's becoming a cut through, right? We already showed you that we added that dual left turn lane there, but that's just going to encourage more traffic because it's going to be better, right? So part of that is if we add the speed tables there, that will discourage the excessive traffic as well, but while maintaining a good flow. So we'll get to that later, but it's a balancing act. Yeah, so that's kind of the speed table versus speed bump conversation. It's now becoming an inside joke between city staff and myself because we've had lots of heated discussions about it. But anyway, next question. Yeah. You want to?
Yo vivo aquí en la calle Watkins, tengo una fuga de agua desde hace medio año. Ya la reporté con la licenciada Allison, no hace nada, la asociación sale sobrando. Son unas cuerdas para cobrar, te ponen un link y no pagas, pero la fuga de agua la tengo ahí eterna. Pago $18,000 de taxas y nadie me arregla mi fuga. A ver si la señorita Hinojosa se dignan a arreglarme allá. Mínimo por pena.
¿Otra vez su dirección?
Expressway, 2706 Watkins.
What is fuga? What is that?
Para que hagamos más.
Voy a buscar el consultorio, a ver.
Eso es otra carta, okay. After.
In reference to la fuga esa, sí, ya tenemos el presupuesto, también tenemos que hablar con la ciudad porque no sabemos de dónde está viniendo el agua.
Pues de abajo.
Sí, está viniendo de abajo, pero es un problema que no es la primera vez que pasa, ¿correcto? Ya ha
Yo tengo
pasado.
medio año reclamándola, pago un mundo de impuestos, pago los dues o los dues de esa madre. Y nadie me arregla mi casa.
Sí estamos trabajando en eso, espero que podamos hacer algo lo más pronto posible, pero sí quiero trabajar con la ciudad para ver de
Pero
dónde
la
está
ciudad dice que
viniendo
porque
esto.
estamos adentro de un botón no es de ellos.
Sí y no, porque lo que pasa es que esa fuga no sabemos de dónde viene. Ya le hemos preguntado a la ciudad, tenemos que fijarnos porque sigue pasando aparentemente y ya lo han arreglado varias veces.
Una vez y porque el camión de la basura se está hundiendo. Le dije, ¿quién nos mandó? De veras. Le dije, ¿quién te mandó? No, la ciudad, porque se nos va de ladito el camión.
Voy a
Si
pedir
no se le
que...
quisiera ir el camión, no lo arreglan.
No, voy a pedir que el equipo de utilities viene para checar. Y eso es mi celular.
No, mañana te hablo, va a ver.
Ok.
No, mañana le mando bien ahí.
Ok, muy bien. Gracias. Mucho gusto. Ok.
I have a question. I'm going to check. First and foremost, thank you for joining us again. I really appreciate changing gears a bit. Is there any discussion on possibly having a park in our area? And another question, is there any funding from the city of Laredo that maybe, and again, I won't know to throw any stones at me or anything, but maybe we can match it, or maybe somewhere where maybe land can be purchased and create a real nice park, something similar to Alexander, or, you know, other areas where our kids can go and play. It's just a question.
Yeah, I would love to know, I mean, if, obviously I haven't surveyed every ounce of land, but my understanding is that there maybe is no land available, but if y'all have an idea, although Alexander's Park is a HOA park, just like Winfield's Park is an HOA park, but, and I don't want to make you answer that, but if you, have y'all had that discussion, or I know you just got on board, but if anybody from previous HOAs has that, because yeah, not everybody's at the country club.
We
Yeah.
had that discussion before. The sad thing is that we built every square inch of this. There are a few pockets there we could do something, but we then developed and sold every square inch. So the association fee should be pretty good, but there's still a few pockets that before they built up every square inch of this. No, I mean that's sad. You know, I mean, there's only so much that they can do.
The HOA basically only has like strips of like, country club right. We have that strip, so we take care of the wall, we take care of the irrigation. We don't have anything that's bigger. That's the problem. But in the city, you go to Plantation Drive and past Country Club Drive going towards Shiloh on the left-hand side, I don't think there's a problem.
Well, the sad thing, the only thing is, when this stuff that we can put your kids out to play, it's on the sidewalk, and that's what we're addressing all the time. Those are our parts here.
To answer the question, if there was an opportunity to partner, definitely be happy to work with HOA to make something happen. I will say our cities, we're trying to, because the city staff, park staff is already, we have 135 parks in the city. And so the HOA parks, when they're actually run well, work out really well. And, you know, we unfortunately were kind of, before my time, we were given some pocket parks like in San Isidro, for example. And they're just and it's just kind of a lot to ask our staff to be going to park to park to park, and maintenance of it just gets tedious. So that's why, you know, the Winfield and the Alexander HOA parks do so well, is because they're managed by themselves. But I'm not opposed to it, I just need to see something, an option, and if we come up with an idea, if there's an idea out there, you know, definitely open to it, yeah. Thank you, yeah. Okay, 7:30. We said it's till 8, so, I'm available, but I know the rest of the city staff is, you know, will be out of here by 8, but I'll stick around, so, yeah, okay.
My suggestion, you said it just thinking out loud,
Yeah.
right off the country club where the chain link fence looking into the golf course, might that fit? I mean, even if it's just a couple park benches, there's a patch of grass there, maybe just a trail.
Country club and golf, sorry?
You go in, make an immediate right, and it's right there.
I mean, it's a patch of grass. I mean, even if it's a couple park benches, it's not a park necessarily, but turning from McPherson, the three-way stop, taking a right, immediate left for the chain link fence. I mean, it's just something that may be able to have a couple, like I said, park bench or place that looking into the golf course. The other place might be, the other place, again, I don't know feasibility studies, but how about the three-way stop where turning left onto, heading, I guess south, facing south, heading to Winfield. We do have that patch of grass that's, you know, it's like a creek. And what if they filled in the dirt and elevated that dirt area and maybe built something on top of there? Am I making sense there?
Yeah,
it's just, it's a big old creek, and I'm sure if there's a way to fill dirt 10, 12 feet high, it might be something to be able to put up there.
Yeah, I think it's for drainage, yeah. But we'll look into it for sure, but I think it might be.
There's also that piece of land, before you get to the country club on the north side, there's a big strip right there. Of course, there's going to be traffic, right? Cars are going to have to park, but that's a very good, nice strip of land.
I mean, if nothing else, if the city would help build it, then the HOA can maintain it. I mean, it's just, it's the pockets of land like you're saying. It doesn't make sense for the city to come in and do pocket maintenance, but we can maintain it, just help us, you know, build it.
Yeah, no, definitely open to it. Just need to find the land that the city actually owns or can purchase. Because we got to confirm who exactly owns some of those lands that we just referenced. Yeah, but we'll, Esmer? Yeah. Okay.
Just a quick comment. Probably this situation with the park has been on and on for years. I've been living here for 15 years. My kids already grown up, they're already out for college, but that has been very consistent. I think it's worth it. Just to have just a specific conversation on that. That's a very good idea. There is a few lands here and there. There's another one in Burke right next after the break when you get through Country Club heading to Plantation East, right after the first creek. I live a block from there. There's a pocket lot that is really well maintained. Probably can have a bench or something. But I think it's worth it just to talk just about the possibility to have a few parks, even though they're small. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, and to build a park, we have to own the land generally, if we're, especially if we're going to use bonded money. So we'd have to own, the city would have to own the land. So we're going to look at all those options that you just mentioned. Yeah, sir.
You own easements, right?
Yeah.
Glover Street. You got a couple of acres of empty property that you can never build on.
Where, sorry?
On Glover Street.
Okay, Glover.
Next to Glover, you have an easement. Follow that easement, you'll have two properties you can look at. You got about an acre worth of property to do a park, walking trails, benches, or whatever. And I don't know if you own the easement because it's one of those utility lines, but you can't ever build anything on the rails. But you can do park stuff like District 5 did, when they ran along the easement from Lindenwood all the way down to Mary Hill. It's a full walking trail.
Okay. All right. I'll just continue. Almost done here. Yeah, this is good though. So we've kind of already talked about a lot of this. Continuing, there's lots of streets that need to be resurfaced still in the city, but in Plantation specifically. Looking, Country Club from McPherson to how do you say that street? Seve or Sieve? Okay, from Country Club to Sieve. Because from Sieve to Plantation East, it's been paved. Seve mejor. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's been paved recently from Seve to Plantation East, so that's kind of an area that crosses cross-country subdivision. But there's also the residential streets. I mean, there's Quail Hollow. Anyone live in on Quail Hollow? Yeah. Still Meadow. Okay. Oh my gosh, I've been neglecting the Still Meadow crowd the whole time. No. Sorry, my back's been to you. No. Okay. Try to redirect here. No. But anyway, and Faldo, King Lane. Not because my last name's King, but King Lane is pretty bad. So those are some other streets I've seen, and we'll pre-prioritizing. And then continue to monitor the Plantation East situation, and improve the traffic flow, like I mentioned earlier, from Shiloh, Plantation East, Burke, Reserve, etc. And then we've discussed the creeks that need to be maintained and determining. Most of them are maintained by the HOA, but we did find, as I met with I don't know if anyone lives in Las Villas, but we did find the city does technically own some the creeks there, and so we're going to be maintaining that now. And oh my gosh. Okay, I think we're good for that. Next slide. Okay. Okay, this is kind of what I was referring to earlier, just so you know. This is, so to orient everybody, McPherson, Del Mar, traffic recently proposed speed tables like the ones on Winfield and Alexander. Speed tables here, here and here, where these green squares are. This is the cut through, as we talked about. See this crash data here. When we improved this, this is Country Club Del Mar. So the idea is, if we now made this better, but that's going to, like I said, encourage more cut through traffic and making things a little less safe. So a proposal is to do speed tables here. And again, these are not speed bumps. If you haven't driven on Winfield lately or on Alexander in the last 2 years, go back and, feel them. They're very smooth, and as Fire has already mentioned, they do not slow down our EMS to a significant enough manner. So, just out of show of hands, because we've had a lot of speed table discussions in the last few months at the city, I'm going to do a straw poll here. Of the people sitting here, how many people, raise your hand if you would be supportive of speed tables on Country Club in these 3 locations?
Both heads.
Okay. Okay, just to have a general idea. You got that on camera, right? Okay, good. Okay. For the evidence. But, okay, yes, question.
Just to let you know, I'm not sure if you're aware, but there on Plantation Drive, Country Club Drive, we had another accident in March.
March, okay.
It was when it was raining, it was driven.
Before the stop sign was put in, I'm guessing? Or
Right after.
right after?
After the sign.
Ah, damn. Okay.
I thought the week before, I can send
Okay.
you so you can check it out. But we didn't have, so maybe they have. I don't know.
Yeah, I know there's 2 speed tables on the Country Club Drive on the way to Plantation East, right? I know I've heard some requests for more. Those were put in by the developer back in the, because since then, we do require developers to put in speed tables in various locations now. So the newer part of Plantation has those speed tables there, whereas the older parts don't, right? So.
This person was basically turned from Plantation Drive into Country Club and then went into the wall and all that.
Are we sure it was before the stop, after the stop sign? Okay, fine. All right, we'll look at the crash report. Okay.
I'll send it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Hi, yes, I have a question. Okay, my name is Felisa Eland, and I'm one of the Still Meadow people.
Yes.
And thank you, Still Meadow group, for considering a speed table there, that one right there from Still
This
Meadow.
one?
Yes, and I get it that it takes time. In the meantime, can you increase police presence? Because evenings, late night police presence. Evenings, Friday nights, Saturday nights, we all hear them speeding by. And come high school prom season, graduation season, I pray for the youngsters out there, because we hear them speeding, and it is real, and it's like that besides prom season, graduation season, throughout the year. We hear them. I don't know when they do their studies, but critical time is late at night. And it's been like that for years. So please, if nothing else, more police presence.
Yes.
Police officers out there, please help us.
I see our LPD shaking their head up and down.
Yes, yes, for that a yes?
Yes.
Thanks, guys. We'll be looking for you.
Definitely.
Thank you for the comment. Okay. Move on to the next slide, I guess. And this is District 6 at large stuff. You've seen, we've started, so we're adding a right deceleration lane there on Shiloh going east towards McPherson, right, the Domino's there. And so what that's going to allow us to do, so we add the decel lane, but it's more importantly, see these cars left up here waiting to turn left, or go straight or turn left on the other side. We're going to be able to add a second left turn lane there on Shiloh, going east towards McPherson, so you can turn left going north on McPherson towards Doctor's Hospital. So adding that right decel lane will allow us to do that on that southwest corner, and shout out to Public Works and Mr. Arfila and the team that he has for almost done, and they're going to repave that area as well to make, as you approach the intersection, restripe it, so that'll be really nice. And we'll eventually also do the northeast corner. The southeast corner is going to cost a lot of money because of those townhomes and that huge mound, so that would probably be done last. But the most critical ones are getting done first anyway. So yeah, and these are the very infamous or famous, however you want to think of it, speed tables. So this is a speed table, not a speed bump. Okay, so we've installed these at Winfield. We had 5 on the west side, 4 on the east side, because there's the median there. For Country Club, it would just be one. It'd be more like this one on Country Club, because there's no median. So those 3 that I mentioned would be like 3 of those. That one cost, this one I think was $26,000. So as opposed, because when you drive over it, you almost don't, you feel it enough to where you're going to probably stop next time, but it's smooth and it's safer, and again, it doesn't slow down. Most importantly, it doesn't slow down EMS. So 3 of those on Country Club would put us close to 80,000. The 3 that were proposed. By the way, I only asked who was for it last time. I want to make this a safe space. Is there anyone who'd like to, on the previous slide, was there anyone who was strongly against those on Country Club? Okay. Okay. Camera? Got it. All right. Yeah. So, and this just letting you know what we've resurfaced in the last year. So, Monarch. Yep. Sorry. That's all right. Yep. Monarch behind HEB Plus. That was really needed. McPherson from International to Shiloh, and Shiloh to Tiara. Shiloh from McPherson to Navajo. International from Shiloh to Allen. International from Loop 20 to Simon Bolivar by the Academy on the way to United High School. Olive Burke, Reserve from Del Mar to Burke. Chimayo from San Isidro to the end. Almost the entire Crown Ridge neighborhood. There was in really, really critical shape. We have a couple more streets to finish there. Kalady Heights, they had a really, even though they're a newer subdivision, I don't know, is Mr. Fila still here? Because I thought, I just figured in case someone asks, why did we have to repave, resurface Kalady Heights for a subdivision that's only 7 years old? Just in case anyone asks, it might be educational. For the type of clay we have on the north side, it's very different in the irrigation systems, but yeah.
Good evening, everyone. John Orfila. And just something that Dr. failed to mention is that after this, he's going to provide dinner also.
Negative.
The Kalady Heights, again, the soil types is very high. It's very high clay content. So the moisture tends to mess up the asphalt, what we call aggregated cracking, or crack. So we went ahead and put in a French drain, which now we got all the water to go into our storm system. We gave it about 2 years to make sure it dried up well, and after that we went and resurfaced the streets, and there shouldn't be a crack in it for the next 10 to 15 years.
Thank you, sir. Just in case someone asks, why would we be repaving it, which is an unfortunate thing that happened to have to do, but nonetheless. And then Copper Bend and Bear Creek and Winfield. Yeah, so that's $300,000 to do that. And that's in addition, well, that $300,000 actually paid for part of this. The rest was actually from the rest of the money that was allocated in his traditional rotation through the districts. I mean, if we just relied on the rotation through the districts, we would have gotten maybe like this much done. So putting that extra 300, pretty much doubled how much we could get done in this year. So anyway, yeah, just paved streets, you know what they look like, but there's some examples. And then next slide, yeah, so this is just kind of District 6 focus, as I've mentioned, prioritize resurfacing. And yes, still metal as well, that's added to the list, yes ma'am. Traffic safety, congestion in McPherson, Shiloh, finish. Now, Springfield Phase 3 was also open last year, but we're actually had some good news. The RMA, the Regional Mobility Authority, donated an additional $1 million to finish Springfield Phase 4, which will connect to Loop 20. And then in the summer, Springfield Phase 2 will be let out for bid, which will connect Shiloh to International. The last one being Springfield Phase 1. Ironically, we're going to do Phase 1 last. And that's Del Mar to International. So, finally, the light is at the end of the tunnel on that Springfield extension. I know it's been 10 plus years in the making. and then, yeah, I already mentioned the Springfield Phase 4, and then the rec center, okay? So I actually do have some good promising prospects on a rec center. For people that live in Plantation, it may not be the location that you always dreamed or thought it would be at because of the limited opportunities, but there are some really good options outside of the loop, specifically in the new Harmony Hills subdivision, east of the traditional San Isidro. There's about 10 acres of parkland they're going to be donating that's going to be an option. But we got to get creative with how we pay for it, because the $20 million rec center is not going to come out of our CIP budget. So there are some new innovative ways like tax increment reinvestment zones that we can play around with the developers and try to find ways to fund public projects like that. And there's two, without giving away, I don't want to ruin anything, I don't want to say something jinx it, but there's two really good options out there in that area, outside the loop, but the closest rec center otherwise is Faskin, which is way over there, Mines Road, and then there's a smaller one in District 5 in Castaneda Park. We're the only district without a rec center and without a branch library. Okay, so the idea would be a rec center that includes a branch library similar to Faskin. And there's maintenance issues and the cost. But if every other district has one, there's no reason why we shouldn't either. So anyway, that was something I focused a lot on as far as in the campaign time. But I just want to be clear that is something we focused on. It's going to take time. A rec center, a $20 million rec center, is not going to be built overnight, but there are things in place that are looking very promising. So, yeah. Okay, next up, and then big thing is connecting North Central Park to Divine Mercy and the Shiloh Hike and Bike Trails. So essentially, Divine Mercy Park, which is becoming a really nice park, and the Shiloh Hike and Bike Trails, the long-term vision is for those to basically be North Central Park West, okay? And to connect the Shiloh Hike and Bike Trails underneath McPherson to North Central Park for hiking or biking. And there are plans, in place to make that happen. We have a $300,000 grant from the Texas Parks and Wildlife that's currently being evaluated by the state. We're sending them the plans, and that will add additional access to the Shiloh bike trails, not just for bikers, but also for hikers and people in wheelchairs. And you guys may not be aware, but there is a parking issue at Divine Mercy Park. But I don't think it doesn't affect most of you, but we have 4 new all-purpose fields, and we're going to be adding a parking lot just south of that. Because currently, the only parking at Divine Mercy Park is through the church. We have an MOU with them, Memorandum of Understanding. But when they're having big events, that leaves the parking situation pretty dire. We are looking at locations for pickleball courts in the north side. I know there's some here at the country club, but for the public at large to use. And phase 2 of the ADA playground, for those of you who may have family members or friends with children with special needs, we have phase 1 has already been opened of the ADA playground, which is amazing. It was a $1.2 million playground with a $300,000 donation by a private citizen, and we finished the rest. Well, phase 2 will include like sand and dunes, and it's going to be another $1 million, roughly. We're still waiting on the final. That's the kind of early prediction. But we have the donation from the same gentleman. He's agreed to at least match his previous donation, and we'll have to find the funding in the capital improvement, park improvement fees, etc. But it's going to happen. And as Mr. Nebb likes to say, if he's still here, North Central Park is our city manager, by the way, in the back. If you haven't met him, wait. Mr. Nebb, he's just finished his first year as city manager. Really happy with him, and he's committed to Laredo. He's got his whole family here. Lovely family, lovely people, and he's just like me. He drank the water and he's staying. So that's phase 2 of the ADA playground. Oh, my point with bringing up Mr. Nebb is he's highlighting the fact that North Central Park is not a District 6 park, it's a city park. It's a city gym. When we have those big, gym as in G-E-M, it's, when we have the kite festival, you see kids and families from all over the city. It's not just families. So the point with that is, you know, I believe there's going to be funding in the capital improvement plan that includes North Central Park enhancement because it's too big of a park to just depend on district funding. It's a citywide initiative, so and that park brings people from all over the city as well. It is Autism Awareness Month, by the way. Recognize that, so good time to be focused on this. And then, and then continue promoting events at Kite Festival. And then we have the Dia de los Muertos Festival, which was we had the first annual this last November, and it went really well with the pozole contest, and we're going to keep expanding that. Next, and then almost done, guys. And then the city focus, I just kept this simple. I kind of started off Plantation, District, City, okay, as we go. Big picture, preserve and maintain our primary water source, the Rio Grande River, and secure a secondary water source for when we need it, because we will eventually, right? And we're going to try to maintain the river as long as we can, but eventually, we will need more. And there are several options, and I know we could talk for hours, and we will be having some utility and water-specific town halls, because I know that's something that is on everyone's mind, or should be. Making Laredo more business-friendly by expediting permit wait times and potentially, and this is going to be a pop question topic, it's just an idea out there, bringing our planning and ability together, but to reduce red tape. That's my personal idea. That's not necessarily happening, just throwing it out there. And then continue sourcing funds from our local, state, and federal dollars for our much-needed infrastructure. We like to talk about being the #1 port in the country, which everyone knows now. We're not just the #1 inland port in the country along the U.S.-Mexico. We're the #1 port overall and really all of North America. And that sounds great for anyone in trade, any trade, international business people here. Okay, that's great for all, but there's a lot of people who have nothing to do with trade, and the fact that we're #1 doesn't mean anything to them, and all they see is trucks and problems that the trucks bring, and so, we have to make sure we stay #1, but not feel like we're #1, where we can live our lives without the hassle and the constant, truckage. But anyway, that's it. I think next slide. That's it, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, good. We can just. Okay, good. That's it. I know it's late. What time? It's 7:52. I know we said 8. But thank you for. I'm happy to stick around. I know some people already trickled out because it's getting close to 8. So I'll stick around if you have any other questions.
Now, before you leave, I have one. You mentioned how big the city park, the North Central Park is. Have you ever looked into whether you could fit a recreation center in some of that vast area that you have there?
Yeah.
Part now. And another thing, since we have Jose here, we're familiar with the HOA rules and regulations, but then I think there needs to be something on the side that ties into the city ordinances. Because I don't know if you noticed throughout the plantation, we've had a lot of people move in, they're not familiar with the city ordinances or HOA rules, so there's the noise ordinance, there's people operating businesses within the district itself, there's the business going over to the streets, and so we have those kind of issues. And people are not familiar with the city ordinances
Now we are having, sorry. No, I mean, I can tell you we're having an issue on Shiloh, for example, with someone who has a legacy zone of an M1 zone right now. They have a business there, and they're basically all Tuesday through Sunday, and it backs up to an R1 residential zone, and it's this old M1 that just really shouldn't be there. It's really unfair, M1 being manufacturing. So we have a manufacturing zone attached, connected to a R1 residential zone. It's just a horrible situation. So there's zoning things like that we're dealing with, that we're having to address. Forced zone changes can lead to lawsuits, and there's ways we're dealing with it, but our police have been out there citing it, and so there's a lot of these issues that come up that are really, we have to look at it at every angle. But did you have,
in reference to, when we send out notifications to the constituents from Plantation regarding a violation or whatever, I usually not only cite the CCR regulation, you know, Article 2, whatever, but I'll also cite the city ordinance so that they're aware that it's not only the HOA that they're violating, but they're also violating city ordinances. As a matter of fact, I do need to speak to the fire chief because there is one that the fire hydrant is basically, you can't see it. And not only that, but you also have where the trees and shrubbery around this fire hydrant is impeding the view of the drivers and the people that are jogging up and down Country Club Drive. So,
Okay, what you need to do there is call 311 and put a complaint, and that's, actually, it's not the fire department, that's the utility department. So if you go through a 311, it's gonna get channeled to the correct department. So, okay?
And you can always call me as well. But 311 is first line, we try to streamline it, but if you're not satisfied, then you can come to me. I'm happy to give out my cell phone, 956-308-6440. I'll give you my card. Shoot me a text, give me your name so I can save it, so I know you're not a spammer. And no, I know it's late. Thank you all for your time. I'll be around. Thank you for your participation.